dead know, little could they have ever known, that this little child, precious as he was, brimming with the beauty of delicateness and innocence, would grow to become a shining star, illuminating the path for others and leaving an indelible mark on humanity. This last child in the family of 5 would be named after the Saint Anthony of Padua, a prophetic whisper of greatness to come. He would, as the illustrious saint, demonstrate undying love and devotion to humanity. Yet, his middle name, Ebebe, meaning nothing, is a philosophically deep, death-preventing name that holds a profound irony. This lays a treasure within, a clever ruse born of ageless tradition, to hide a precious jewel in an unattractive oyster. Anthony Eyang's birth came when the final cannons of the fratricidal civil war had already boomed and the guns fallen silent. The bloody conflict had left the nation in tatters and despondency. Hence, it was no mere coincidence that he was born at this fragile period, a clear sign that with his birth, hope was infused in the hearts of his people. Growing up would not be so much of an easy task, but the young Anthony proved beyond doubt that he was a boy simmering with the flame of determination, courage, and zeal. And this would not be doused, not even by the strains of the hardship faced. He had his early education at St. Paul's Primary School, Mbube, 1977 to 1983, and proceeded to the much acclaimed Mbube East Secondary School, Oboso Mbube, 1983 to 1989, from which he obtained his WASC with distinction. His time in secondary school marked him out as a prodigy with great prospects, as he excelled in both arts and science subjects, and ranked among the elite students in academic pursuits and other engagements. He stepped onto the grounds of the University of Calabar in 1992 like Jason of old, undaunted by the swirling tides of challenge and resolute in his quest for the golden fleece of knowledge. 4 years later, in 1996, his pursuit bore fruits with the attainment of a Bachelor of Arts degree, graduating with a second-class upper division. Yet, the thirst of the scholar's spirit is never easily quenched. Drawn ever closer to the muse's fountain, he advanced with zeal through a master's program, which he completed in 2002. His intellectual flame only burned brighter, as in the same year, he embarked upon a doctoral journey. By 2006, he had not only earned his Ph.D., but distinguished himself with a thesis that ranked among the finest in the land, shortlisted for the prestigious Nigerian University's Doctoral Thesis Award Scheme. Today, he stands as a versatile scholar whose works echo across the pages of reputable journals, home and abroad. Our celebrant's journey in the world of work has been nothing short of inspiring. In 1998, fresh from his National Youth Service in Benin Kebbi, he ventured into the corridors of broadcasting with the Voice of Nigeria, VON Lagos, serving as a presentation officer. Here, he honed his oratory skills, refining the art of speech and cultivating a voice of confidence and clarity. Later that same year, destiny beckoned him back to the academia, where he was appointed a graduate assistant in the Department of English and Literary Studies, University of Calabar. Since then, he has been lecturing and leaving indelible footprints on time's sands. A quintessential teacher in every respect, he is celebrated by students not only for the brilliance of his delivery, but also for the warmth and fascination of his style. So compelling that many eagerly imitate him. Professor Eyang has been entrusted with a number of public and administrative positions of responsibility, which he has discharged most creditably. He was Coordinator, Use of English, 2007 to 2008, and 2013 to 2014. Secretary of Council, Ogoja Local Government Area, 2008 to 2010. Examinations Officer, Department of English and Literary Studies, 2011 to 2012. Secretary, ASU, Unical Branch, 2012 to 2014. Chairman, ASU Unical Branch, 2014 to 2019. Deputy Director, Academic Publishing Center, Unical, 2019. Deputy Director, Center for Educational Services, CES, Unical, 2019 to 2020. Member, University of Calabar Governing Council, 2017 to 2021. Dean of Student Affairs, 2020 to 2024. And currently, as we all know, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic of this great university. He has been a university orator since 2018. In all these positions, he has demonstrated sheer excellence, astuteness, dedication, a high level of integrity, and great intellectual acuity. Professor Tony Eyang is married to his heartthrob, Mrs. Regina Ebebe Eyang, a superintendent of Corps, SC, a loyal, devoted, and loving wife, a soulmate and mother who is also an accomplished public servant. The happy union is blessed with adorable children. At the heart of Prof. Eyang's success is a strong devotion to his family. He is a fervent husband and father whose commitment to his family's well-being is unwavering, even as he navigates the infinite and adverse demands of his career path. In essence, career responsibilities do not overwhelm his love and dedication to his crown jewel and adorable children. Today's inaugural lecturer is a man who does not fail to create time for social life, as he cherishes moments spent sipping happily from his tumbler of Obor Afal, palm wine, as well as when he deals decisively with poundo and kebumbum, or mfunung, or bichur, or ogbamu soup with relish. He would also not let the eroding wave of the Nigerian pop culture relegate him to the fringes, as he shows remarkable currency in crooning to the sonic effervescence of Kiss Daniel, Pato Ranking, Burna Boy, Davido, Mr. Easy, Simi, Ashake, Charlie Poppy, and others alike. This trendy fascination with his ears and nimble feet, however, has not obliterated his love for the ageless and unparalleled rhythm of classical music, reggae, countryside, and high life. And this blend of modern and traditional influences showcases his refined sensibility, taste, and appreciation of diverse musical genres. Indeed, Prof, your face show, your shoe shine. Professor Eyang's altruistic mien and unswerving compassion embody the spirit of togetherness and complementarity, fostering and strengthening his true sense of community. His live and let live disposition, disarming humility, compassion, and humanism bear testimony to his ideology. On this great day, the 5th of November 2025, I wear this robe for the very first time in public appearance since obtaining my doctoral degree in 2023, as a lasting tribute to a man who has very profoundly shaped my personal growth and intellectual voyage. Deservedly so, this will be etched upon the tablet of my mind and the sands of time forever. Today, our inaugural lecturer summons the consecrated communion of the town's heartbeat and the gown's intellect to service a sustained and timeless bond that continues to elevate our collective humanity and give nobility to the world we all share. Before this august assembly, he stands adorned with the professorial robe of excellence, an apparel that testifies to decades of hard work, dedication, sacrifice, and stout resilience. Without a doubt, he wears this dignifying vestment with steeze and composure. We are honored on this unforgettable day with a titan, a towering figure in academia, a scholar of no mean repute who has traversed the vast expanse of knowledge with unwavering purpose, unfleeting passion, and unalloyed distinction, and has emerged with insights that inspire and empower the mind. Here is a man who has risen above the fold and established a niche that is unparalleled. With a gift of eloquence that is both rare and remarkable, he is a celebrated speaker who weaves words masterfully to inform and delight, earning widespread acclaim as an orator par excellence. Whenever he touches words, they turn gold. When he speaks, he sprays the magical dust on his listeners, and this dust is available only seemingly to him, the Prof. This is a man of great intellect and absolute poise. He is indeed a remarkable specimen of a man, an impeccable work of art that breathes, talks, and walks. We have before us today a man who evinces wise counsel whenever he speaks, a man who illuminates every room he steps into with his charisma and aura. As he takes us on a voyage through the lower kingdom, let us have the consciousness that our inaugural lecturer is beautiful as the butterfly, gentle as the lamb, peaceful as the dove, friendly as the dolphin. Yet, ironically, he is strong in will as the lion, industrious as the soldier ants, fearless as the honey badger, visionary as the eagle, and quick to positive action as the peregrine falcon. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure to present to you on this auspicious and memorable day a gentleman par excellence, an outstanding administrator, a father, a friend, and a brother to many, an utterly unique teacher. I present to this esteemed assembly of dazzling minds a man of grace, power, purpose, and beauty, a gentleman of poise, charm, elegance, brilliance, and sophistication, a professor of literary stylistics. I present to you the 148th Inaugural Lecturer of this university, Professor Anthony Ebebe Eyang.
Thank you very much, my citation reader. As is said in my place, when I die, you can go to your farm. Because you have done everything. You have actually transformed me into a celestial body. I can recognize myself right here. With the power of words, with the power of your insight, with the power of your brain, you have lifted me into a level that I cannot even classify. Thank you very much. If actually this is the impression I have had, I've created in the 6 people I've had the opportunity here to introduce, then I really live in the hearts of people. I've had the opportunity here of introducing the 88th Inaugural Lecturer, the 100th Inaugural Lecturer, the 93rd first before the 100th Inaugural Lecturer, the 126th Inaugural Lecturer, the 135th Inaugural Lecturer, and the 145th Inaugural Lecturer. I have had that opportunity. And if actually each of them I do now, then I'm really inscribed in their hearts. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Madam Vice Chancellor and Chairman of this occasion, the Vice Chancellor designate, and a man whose many years and sacrifices and struggle received the highest accolade on the 31st of October 2025 by his well-deserved appointment as the 12th Vice Chancellor of the University of Calabar, Professor Efanga Ofiong, a comrade and a scholar. The Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research Linkages and Collaborations, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration, who is watching on Zoom or participating on Zoom, the Registrar of the University, the Chairman Committee of Deans, the Bursar, and all principal officers, and of course, the Provost of the College of Education, Provost of the College of Medical Sciences, and Provost of the College of Postgraduate Studies. All my colleagues and those who are robed, my senators, my very beloved comrades that have trusted me so much and supported me also, directors of institutes, heads of departments who are here, all academic and non-teaching staff, my Lord spiritual and temporal, members of congregation and convocation, my beloved wife, children, and members of the family, and then the Ekikenjan family here, and guests who have come, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, great Malabites and Malabresses. At this podium, I stand actually very humble and feel most privileged to present the 148th Inaugural Lecture. God has given us a brilliant weather, and I have no reason whatsoever as a mortal to begin to make it hot by way of grammar or any other thing. If I wanted to do so, the warnings that I have had are enough. More so that it has come from the Vice Chancellor herself. Otherwise, I'll be seen to be so very recalcitrant. And you know that I'm not like that. Even though I just tried the word now, right? But that's why we went to school, of course. And so when it becomes necessary to put it there, we would not mind, isn't it? Thank you very much. So this place I stand, just by the, beside the Kwa River, has been electrified and glorified in history because people of distinction, academics and scholars, have stood here to share with us their intellectual meals that they themselves prepared as a product or a harvest from many years of their exploration of scholarship. So for me to be here is indeed very humbling. So it is with profound appreciation. Growing up actually in the village, because I'm a village boy, life was a little jerky because of the hassles in secondary school, not being able to pay fees, and my teachers coming to my rescue a number of times. We're going to talk about that later. But one thing I found most profound as a young man growing up with an impressionable mind were the proverbs that were used. And I saw that they were about animals. And I kept wondering, why is it that animals are given or attributed human qualities? How is an animal able to speak? How is a snake able to verbalize thought or even philosophize? Or a goat or a bird, and so on and so forth. It really dazzled me. And so when I came to the University of Calabar in 1992 to start my undergraduate studies, as my citation reader just said, I was asked to write about 50 proverbs from my place. And most of those proverbs are proverbs about animals. That is, they are anthropomorphic proverbs. By that I mean that human qualities are given to animals, given to non-human entities. So the practice of endowing or attributing human qualities to non-human objects or subjects is called anthropomorphism. So it is just a big word for nothing. It is something we can easily relate with. And even my topic itself is so simple. Wisdom from the lower kingdom. The moral universe and stylistics in anthropomorphic literature. In other words, what do we learn from animals? And if we consider animals to belong to the lower kingdom, as we do through religion, through cultural imposition, particularly Western cultural imposition, then how do we learn what comes from them, from animals, by the way that they behave, by the way that they conduct themselves, which makes us, of course, to say, this animal said this animal did this animal is capable of philosophizing, and the philosophy that it espouses or it expresses is consistent with the way that such an animal behaves. I'm not an animal scientist, but as one who is an interpreter of literature, a consumer of literature, just like all of us, it is of significant importance to me that I look at how these proverbs work within the culture, the contributions they make in strengthening the social fibers, in strengthening morality. In other words, when we come from the lower kingdom, we are talking about what we learn from animals. And the literature that features animals is called anthropomorphic literature. So there is a connection. So it isn't difficult. So I'm really grateful to be here. Why are we even having to talk about anthropomorphic literature and the lessons that we can learn from? That is the lessons we learn from the lower kingdom. Before we even talk about whether there is a lower kingdom, let's look at it. We are in a society that is conflicted by a number of problems. And most of the problems we confront, whether here in the University of Calabar or any other university or the general Nigerian university system or in society generally, border on morality. The border on whether we actually care for each other. The border on whether we are prepared to make the sacrifices that we need for the good of our culture and projection of our own identity. There are questions that have to do with whether we are ready to bequeath the future to the children that we borrow them from, we borrow it from. Those are the things that we are saddled with. So when we talk about poor leadership, when we talk about poor followership, when we talk about the moral crisis, embezzlement, and so on and so forth, including cybercrime and other forms of criminality that would make us appear to be hurting ourselves in a way that animals don't, then it means we really have a lot to learn from animals. So our society is actually troubled, as we know. We have a responsibility as scholars, and those who can, of course, we all consume literature. Literature is common in every society because it is through literature, which is realized through language, that we are able to project those moral principles, those tenets, those values that are so central to the trajectory of the society. So we can better affirm our readiness that we can be each other's keeper. So the literary artist has a duty that we all should share in. That is, to be concerned about our moral principles and our moral values. And of course, as I have stated here, art mirrors society. Yes, a work of art generally. And when I talk of work of art, I don't mean only the one that is written just like Chebe's Things Fall Apart or other things that mirror society, talk about, and we talk about moral issues and so on and so forth. It is that literature shapes society. And it is through language that literature, is realized. So it means that literature and language have a mutual relationship, a symbiotic relationship. I wouldn't want to go into talking about what language is so much in this lecture, because we have a lot to do in terms of looking at examples of anthropomorphic literature. That language remains the only vehicle through which we can express, the mind can express its resources. It is the platform through which we can generate and transmit social values. It is also the means through which we share our feelings. I know that feelings can also be shared by way of extra linguistic communication. That is by gesticulation and so on and so forth. In our kingdom. Yes, wisdom itself, as we know, is fluid. Yes, because what could be wisdom to one person or one community may not be wisdom to another person or another community. When in Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, we are told that a man or the coward stands in his own house to point at the ruin of a brave man. What does that mean? It is that there is wisdom in cowardice. But it is a matter of when you consider most appropriate for that to be expressed. So it is through language, actually, that all of these can be projected. It is also through literature that this finds expression. When characters confront each other, and also in our folk tales and myths and legends, and of course, other forms, oral forms, such as proverbs, adages, and sayings. Every community has got such sayings. So, literature, much as it enables, language, as much as it enables literature to be realized, it also feeds literature. It makes literature more beautiful. Yeah, so is there a lower kingdom? Yeah, because man actually has operated as if he is the center of the universe and relegates all other non-human entities and non-human animals, I should say, to a lower kingdom. That is, man is so conceited. Man feels so arrogant. And of course, God has even said it, or given an injunction, that man should learn from beasts. He should learn, when I mean man, of course, I mean generic man. He should learn from the birds. He should also learn from the earth. He should learn from the fishes. So it means that there is much that can come from the lower kingdom. So evolution has actually privileged man, but also with the ability to handle tools, to exploit the environment, to have language. And language, of course, as we said, is very unique to man. So religion, anthropomorphic terms. By that I mean it is that we look at God, we look at any deity as having a human form. And that's why we can say that God has eyes to see. He has a heart to feel, and he has just what man has. So when we are told that we are made in God's own image, it may not actually be that in physical form, but that is the only way that we can think of God, in human form. That's why we see God as having eyes, as having a heart, and having all of that. So the presumption of human exceptionalism, that is, man is supreme over all other living entities on earth, is at the core of what is described as anthropocentrism. Anthropocentrism, which looks at man as the center of the world. The center, and this arrogance that comes with man as the center of the universe, in which all the other aspects of nature are for his utilization, are for his pleasure, is a kind of belief that has also fueled the arrogance that expresses itself as segregation, colonialism, slavery. For example, if you want to exploit someone, you first have to locate them within a certain class not deserving of such rights or such privileges. And of course, it is this kind of premise that informed colonialism, first slavery for hundreds of years, and colonialism. Now, this feeling of man being supreme and preeminent also feels impunity that comes with the way we even approach the environment. So we hurt the environment, feeling that everything that has to do with nature is under man. We destroy the rainforest, pollute the air, drive a species extinction, and decline eco. So the belief is further sustained by the following tenets. That is the belief that man is supreme, which we call anthropocentrism. It's further, man is in the image of God, created in the image of God. Humans have no soul. Animals have no soul, and they have no right. And all of nature is for human consumption. So Shakespeare has this arrogance as hubris, and has a character, a lot of characters in his plays to exemplify this. In Julius Caesar, for example, we have Julius Caesar himself as the tragic hero, who is so boastful and not ready to listen to good counsel. And so what happens? When he's approached, in order to reverse his mind or rethink a particular decision, he comes and boastfully says, and I quote, "I am as constant as the northern star, whose true fixed and resting qualities there is no fellow in the firmament. The sky is painted with unnumbered sparks. They are all fire, and each one doth shine. Yet in the number there is but one that unassailably holds his rank, and beats his chest and says, and that I am he." Just being approached to reconsider a decision. And of course, we know what happened to Julius Caesar in the end. Yes. So, the first part of this lecture, Wisdom from the Lower Kingdom, is a question mark. Because we ask, is there actually a lower kingdom? Now, it is not important to me whether there is a lower kingdom or not. It is that wisdom can come from any source. I remember, on getting my Ph.D., for example, in 2006, few family members sat with me to celebrate. And a man who was barely literate walked up to me and said, "Young man, I hear now that you have been given a red cap in the university. In other words, that I have a Ph.D. I want you to know that while you will know from A to Z, you will not know from Z to A. If you know Z to A, please read." He read from Z to A. And when I told him it was necessary for me to read from Z to A, he asked me why I could walk backward. And of course, is there anyone here who does not walk backward? Sometimes we even run backward. That is it. So it is that wisdom can come from wherever. It can also come from people who may not be very privileged. It can even come from animals. The second part of the title of the lecture, The Moral Universe and Stylistic Paradigms in Anthropomorphic Literature, is affirmation of what I have said. That from what we learn from animals, we can build, we can firm up our moral principles. So now, there are other theoretical issues that I would just like to gloss over so that we'll have sufficient time to talk about concrete instances, particularly in our cultures, of what animals have said and what roles animals play in our fables. It's just to look at the concept of style very briefly and stylistics. When we talk about style, we're talking about the manner in which a certain user of language, uses it. The manner in which language is deployed by a certain writer or a certain speaker. And what informs what someone says, or the manner in which the person says it, has to do with the occasion or the degree of formality. It has to do with the person's individuality. As me, Tony Eyang, for example, I would speak differently from some other person because that's me. It would also have to do with the function, the intention that I want to use language for. It also has to do with what my background is that influences the way I use language. It would also have to do with the medium. Is it a poem? Is it just a story? Or you're just sharing your experience about what happened before you got to this 148th Inaugural Lecture? So all of this, and it has to also do with what the time is. Like when I was introduced by my citation reader, he made some contemporary, slangs. He used some contemporary slangs. Your face, they show. Did you not hear that? And so on. So my shoe, they shine. And I looked at my shoes again to see if they were shining. At a point, I almost hit my shoe because I didn't think it was shining enough. But when I saw that my colleagues here could not see my shoes, I just felt happy. But now they can see it, and I have nowhere to hide. So I want to thank you. So when we talk about how stylistics, we are talking about how how style is analyzed. The analysis of style, the study of style. Yes. When someone uses anthropomorphic literature or medium, that is using animals as a medium, to communicate ideas in a very effective way, it is that person's style. So it is what you want to say, for example, that would determine. For example,